This is the Small Town Business Podcast. I'm Tyson, and the podcast is brought to you by the Small Town Marketing Group. It's an online marketing course for small town and rural area business owners. Today, we are joined by my neighbor, Chris Smith. He owns a company or a business called Junk Gruntz. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. And why don't you tell us a little about what Junk Gruntz is?
So Junk Gruntz is just a small town junk removal business that services an entire county instead of just a city. Because of where we live, it's not a great big population. So we remove anything from just either a small item like a washer or a dryer all the way up to a full house clean out from evictions, like a hoarder gets evicted. So it's just about everything you can think of, hauling it to the dump or recycling it or donating it.
Okay. Well, I think it's a great idea when you first told me about it. I want you to tell me a little about how you came up with this idea.
So I got the idea from a friend who does it down south in South Carolina. And I was like, well, that's kind of a good, neat idea, but everybody around here has trucks, so we kind of do it ourselves. But I was calling around one day, and there's just nobody to do it in our whole southeast Idaho area. So I kind of took advantage of the need for it, and kind of been busy ever since.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that a lot of us, we might think of a business idea, but we're like, oh, I don't know if anybody would want that, like you said, because everybody has trucks. But nobody wanted it because they didn't know it existed, right?
Yeah.
And then once you brought it up, then people are like, oh, I can have somebody else come do it, and I can either not break my back on cleaning this out, or I can...
That's where most of our clients come from, is they're just somebody who doesn't have the time to get it done themselves, or wants to spend more time with their family, and we can just show up and get it done, and they don't have to stress about it anymore.
Yeah, I know we had sold our truck and then needed some stuff removed, so we had to have you come over and take care of that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
And then, too, you were in the military, right?
I was.
Okay.
So I was an infantryman in the military, and we're kind of known as grunts. So that's kind of where I got my name from, is I wanted it short and sweet and kind of about us. And
so I think that's a really cool thing that you've leveraged in your business, is tying in the military stuff, because I think a lot of us appreciate what the military does for us, and we like to support military related businesses. So by naming that and keeping that as part of your business model is really smart, I think.
Yep, it definitely helps us get more clients, more people to help out.
All right, so that brings us to the next question I have, and this is the big one for you.
Uh-oh.
So how do you get clients? How did you get started getting people to know about your business, and then how have you continued to get them?
So when I first got started, I just kind of did easy word of mouth, sharing business cards everywhere I could leave one. The hardest way possible, probably, in nowadays. But then I started using Home Advisor and Yelp, and it's actually brought more customers to me, to where it's starting to get busier than I can handle as just a side deal. So, but the only thing downside is Home Advisor, you have to pay for your leads, whether they turn in or not. But in the near future, I'm going to start using Facebook and more Google, kind of reach more people than just what I am.
Yeah. Well, I think it's smart what you've done. And you mentioned this is kind of a side business for you, because, and a lot of people that own businesses in small towns, it might be a side business for them, whether they're farmers and they open up a little store in town, or they might be teachers and need a little something to do in the summer. And so I think it's pretty common for a lot of us people that are listening for it to be a little side business.
Yeah, I wanted to do a 4 seasons to make sure it's gonna do well in this area to where I don't have to work a second job if I don't need to.
Yeah, and you have your wife helping you.
I do.
Doing some of the office work.
Yep. And so my wife goes out on jobs if she can and removes the junk, or it's just me. Or if I'm really lucky, I can find a high school kid looking for something to do during the summers. So.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And you mentioned starting out, just talking to people, and I think the conception is and I've done some marketing in bigger towns, and that's really hard to do. But in small towns where a lot of people know each other and there's a lot of communication throughout the town, or gossip, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
A positive word. Gossip's not so positive, but I think it's a good way to start getting the word out, right?
Yeah, word of mouth is about as good as it gets. Really, your clients kind of know who you are coming to them. They know you mean well. You're going to do the job and you're going to do it good. You're not just someone trying to make a quick buck and get in and out.
And knowing you live in the town or the area, right? So you service the whole county, but our county's made up of a lot of little towns and then one bigger town. But all those little towns will get to know you pretty quick. So not only is word of mouth important, but good customer service, I'm sure, is.
Yep. It's definitely one of our things we strive for, is getting the best customer service to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of the military, gets us that one step above whoever decides to come in and be our competitors.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, so now I got to ask you, what has been the most frustrating part or the hardest part about getting this business started?
Marketing. It is the part I'm struggling with the most because I understand it the least.
Okay. Is there something specific? I mean, it sounds like one of the things that I've thought as we've talked, just as neighbors, is you kind of sell yourself short in this fact that you have a great service, and that is a big part of marketing, is if you do a really good job and you can get people talking about you, then that's gonna go a long way. Obviously, the other aspects of marketing are gonna help you with that.
Yeah, that's the part I'm struggling with.
Are the other parts?
The other parts.
More specifically, what? Is it technology? Is it
anything online? Technology's not my forte.
Okay.
So I get frustrated too fast when it comes to anything online, trying to get something out. So.
Okay. Well, it's good thing you're so good at the rest of it that you can.
That's true.
You can have a little struggles with that stuff, and that's all right. Well, at the end of this thing, we're going to give you a free access to our online course for marketing through the Small Town Marketing Group. So hopefully the stuff that's shared in those courses can help you get a grasp on what you need to do with the technology. And one thing that I think a lot of small town businesses think is you have to be perfect at it, and you really don't. You just got to do the basics. You said you don't know a lot about technology, but your Home Advisor and Yelp are bringing you clients. So you were able to get just the basics on there.
Yep, that is true.
It's got you started. And if you can at least get over that hump of getting started, then you can get to the point where you can have somebody help you a little with your marketing, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get up and run, and I'm not taking the baby steps I should have to start. So I had to backtrack, and we're getting it going now.
Yeah, well, that's all right. All right, so what's been your favorite thing about starting this business?
Meeting people. Just all the people you meet who need your service. It's probably the best part of it.
Okay. Do you have any cool stories about somebody you met that they maybe told you something crazy, or they had took something cool out of somebody's yard?
The other day I removed an entire shed for a guy in the bigger city, and he's just all the stuff that came out of there. Oh, I haven't seen that in 20 years. Well, you want it? No, you take it away right now. So ended up with some pretty neat stuff. Some old solar heating that was popular in the 80s, but not very efficient nowadays. But that's about it. Just nice people. A lot of military that call me because it's kind of a small group we're in.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the smart thing we talked about earlier is leveraging. And it's not that you brag about it, but you just let people know you were you're a veteran and that you were in the military. And I think it helps you out and people want to help you because of that.
It does, definitely.
And they know that you do a good job because you're committed. You've been taught the values of the military and whatnot.
Yep, and we put those values in everything we do. So
Cool.
It helps us out.
All right, last question for you, Chris, is
Okay.
What's your future goal for Junk Gruntz?
I want to extend it to multiple locations.
Okay.
That is my end goal. Run one site and just kind of let the others run themselves with good employees. Be able to service most of Idaho is my goal.
Okay. That's a really good goal. Well, thanks for joining us, and we like to keep these things short because we know all of us as small town business owners are busy. And so, again, I want to tell Chris thanks for Junk Grunts, and if anybody out there is listening in the southeast Idaho area and you need something removed, whether it's from your business location to make it look nicer, the way your business looks is really important. And so if you need him to come remove some trash around there, he could come help you out. Or if you need something around your house, he would do a good job. I've had him come help me, and he's did a good job. So thanks again. And like I mentioned, you'll get a free access to the Small Town Marketing Group training course, which helps small town business owners with their marketing and teaches them the basics of what you need to know to get your results. And that is it for this episode of the Small Town Business Podcast.